A pleasant good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sarah Maybe BASAN from Section Jeremiah, and now I am the first reporter of the Group 2. And the topic that I will be going to discuss is all about the principle of good practice in assessing learning outcomes. Number one, the assessment of students' learning starts with the institution's vision, mission, and core values. There should be a clear statement on the kinds of learning that the institution values most for its students. Meaning, the assessment must be purposeful and meaningful, and we need to put a statement which can make them valued as they learned. This could be a part of their process of learning which can properly occur if the assessment is purposeful or meaningful. Number two, assessment works best when the program has clear statement of objectives aligned with the institutional vision, mission, and core values. Such alignment ensures clear, shared, and implementable objectives. It means that assessment will work pleasantly if it is aligned with the vision, mission, and core values of the school, which can provide clear statement of the objectives. So therefore, the school vision, mission, and core values can help in pleasant flow of the assessment. In the other term, this will serve as a manual. Determine the student's verbal ability. So number three, outcome-based assessment focuses on the students' activities that will still be relevant after formal schooling concludes. The approach is to design assessment activities which are observable and less abstract, such as to determine the student's ability to write a paragraph, which is more observable than to determine the student's verbal ability. So the outcome-based assessment is based on the relevant activities of the students. It must be observed and has no abstract objectives, meaning the learning outcomes must be observed because it will be a basis if the learners are learning or not. Number four, assessment requires attention not only to outcomes but also and equally to the activities and experiences that lead to the attainment of learning outcomes. These are supporting students' activities, meaning the assessment must be focused on the students' experience and activities which help the teacher to attain learning outcomes. Activities like SITworks, homeworks, quizzes could help the teacher to gather some data which can help to attain learning outcomes based on the experience of the learners. Number five, assessment works best when it is continuous, ongoing, and not episodic. Assessment should be cumulative because improvements is best achieved through a linked series of activities than over time in an instructional cycle. So it means the assessment must be continuous and doesn't have episodes, and it must be cumulative because it will help us to achieve improvements by having such activities which was done during instructional cycle. Assessment must not be like a novel or TV series which has several episodes or chapters. It should be continuous in order to attain the learning outcomes. Number six, begin assessment by specifying clearly and exactly what you want to assess. What you want to assess is are stated in learning outcomes lesson objectives, meaning the target and the purpose must be specified in the assessment. It will help the teacher to attain more improvement of his or her students. Meaning the target and the purpose must be specified in the assessment. It will help the teacher to attain more improvement of his or her students. The target and the purpose could help the teacher to attain learning outcomes more quicker and without difficulty. Number seven, the intended learning outcome lesson objective, not content, is the basis of the assessment task. You use content in the development of the assessment tool and task, but it is the attainment of your learning outcome, not content, that you want to assess. This is outcome-based teaching and learning. So it means the outcome or the objective must be based on the assessment task. The teacher can still use content in the development of the task, but the purpose must be for attainment of the learning outcome that the teacher wants to assess. Number eight, set your criterion of success or acceptable standard of success. It is against this established standard that you will interpret your assessment results. Example is a score of 7 out of 10, the highest possible score acceptable or considered success. The teacher must have a criteria of success or acceptable standard of success. This will help us to interpret the results of the assessment. Result has several methods. The best example of these ranking methods. Number 9, make use of varied tools for assessment data gathering and multiple sources of assessment data. It is not pedagogically sound to rely on just one source of data gathered by only one assessment tool. Consider multiple intelligence and learning styles. The PED Order number 73, 2012 cite the use of multiple measures as one assessment guidelines, meaning the teacher must consider multiple intelligence, which is the theory of Howard Gardner, and it must not based on the single source of data alone. The said order must serve as a guideline. Student has a multiple intelligence depend on what thing or topics they are more interested with this. Show their knowledge and abilities. Number 10, learners must be given feedback about their performance. Feedback must be specific. Good works is positive feedback and is welcome, but actually is not a very good feedback since it is not specific. A more specific, better feedback is you observe rules on subject, verb, agreement, and variety of sentences. 3 of your commas were misplaced. The teacher must give or use specific feedback or the assessment of the students in order for them to know the errors and things to be improved by the students. This can help the learners to learn more and improve more. Number 11, assessment should be on real-world application and not on out-of-context drills. Out-of-context drills will make the attainment of success difficult because it will bring confusion to the students. So the assessment must be based on the real-world application or situations. Number 12, emphasize on the assessment of higher-order thinking, meaning the teacher must use the higher order thinking skills in listening of the learning objectives. He or she can use Bloom's taxonomy of learning objectives. Bloom's taxonomy of learning objectives is divided into 3 domains: the cognitive, affective, and the psychomotor. Since the assessment is focused on the cognitive domain, it is divided into 2, the lower and the higher order thinking skill. Provide opportunities for self-assessment. The teacher must provide an opportunities for self-assessment. It will help us to train themselves and to practice what they have learned.